Hey, welcome back. So I want to talk about those natty or not videos that are so popular on the internet, where some fitness influencer decides to pick on some athlete and they go in and go, oh, is this person natty or not? And they do their little Columbo routine investigating and make their determination whether or not the person's been using the naughty sauce. Well, here's the thing about it. One, unless either the WADA or USADA, the organizations that actually do the drug testing, come out and say, yeah, that person tested positive, or the athlete themselves, or say somebody like, who is it, the Liver King? Yeah, the Liver King comes out and says, yeah, by the way, it wasn't eating bull testicles that made this body. It's a whole lot of drugs. Short of that happening, these natty or not things are nonsense. But I'm interested in this because I do CrossFit, and CrossFit is a drug-tested sport. And occasionally they do pop some athlete for taking something. And it kind of got in my mind because, I'm doing BPC 157. And so I was like, okay, how does this work? And what actually goes on? And the interesting thing that I came up with is, I bet you don't actually know what is natty or not. And we're not talking the obvious things of Anavar, Turkesterone, not Turkesterone, Trenbolone, or any of the other, usual anabolics that we're talking about. It's a lot more, there's a lot more to it than you realize. So I wanted to get into it. And he said, but Jay, just a second, I'm not a competitive athlete. Well, neither am I. But you should be interested in this because, well, on one hand, it's kind of entertaining, as you'll see. And the next piece is, say you get started in CrossFit. And, well, let's just go ahead and get right into this. Let's say you're a gentleman who has gotten himself into the Wilford Brimley way, i.e., you got the diabetes. And you're treating it. And your doctor's like, hey, you should exercise. So you make the wise choice and you start doing CrossFit. Things are going great. And the Open comes around. I mean, it's November right now when I'm shooting this. The Open is usually in March, I think. And so it's right around the corner, really. And you're doing it. And so the Open comes up. Of course you sign up and do the Open. Well, guess what? The Open is a part of the CrossFit Games and is drug tested. You're probably not going to get drug tested. So you're taking insulin. You're okay, right? Nope, wrong. Check this out. So we come here to this thing. It's called the Global DRO. And we go here. We say the user type. And it's interesting. You got all these. You're an athlete, whether you realize it or not. Your sport. Now, what's really funny as a CrossFitter, yeah, there's no CrossFit here. So we keep going, and I'm just going to use weightlifting because all CrossFitters are weightlifter wannabes. Seriously. And then we're going to search for insulin. And hey, what do you look? There it is. And we accept the terms, blah, blah, blah. And, uh-oh, it's prohibited all the time. Now, something to understand, when you come to this website and you're searching for your drugs, you got these two things. In competition prohibited, out of competition prohibited. In competition means, like for instance, well, say you got the CrossFit Games and it's on a specific date, we'll say August 21st. Well, you cannot test positive for insulin on August 21st, which really and truly for it to be, how do you test for it? I don't know. Anyway, rabbit hole. So you would have to have stopped far enough ahead that when you take it, or when you get drug tested at the competition, and you should be drug tested at the games, you would test negative. So that would be in competition. Out of competition means all of the rest of the time, the other 365 days of the year, or how many ever days the games is. So, right now today, if they showed up at your door and they said, hey, time for a drug test, and they make you pee in a cup and they take a blood sample, you better test negative for insulin. This is CrossFit. Greg Glassman started CrossFit to solve the most vexing problem facing civilization, chronic disease. Things like obesity, type 2 diabetes, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. There's a whole long list of these chronic conditions that he wants CrossFit to solve. But insulin is a banned substance, and the very people who need insulin are the people we want in CrossFit gyms. So that's kind of why we're doing this video. So the next piece is, our mythical person. And believe me, I'm not fat shaming anybody or anything. This is the reality of the world we live in. We have chronically obese, we have a lot of chronic disease. Obesity is high among it. Anyway, so you take and you decide, hey, you know what? The Weight Watchers isn't doing it, blah, blah, blah. Semaglutide. I'm going to do the Ozempic or the Wegovy, right? Well, here's the thing. Let's go here. We're going to go to the USADA website. This is where it gets confusing. So we come here to the United States Anti-Doping Agency, click athletes, and come back here. And Athlete Guide to Anti-Doping. And you got this nice web page. Let's go ahead and accept all the cookies. And we come scrolling down here, the prohibited list. And we come here. Hey, by the way, one of the reasons why, the very reason is right at the top, non-approved substances, BPC 157. Hello. So we keep coming down, and it says peptide hormones, growth factors, related substances, and mimetics. Ozempic and Wegovy are semaglutide, which are peptides. They're here on this banned list. That's interesting. So I come here and I search, yes, accept, and I type Ozempic. I hope I spelled it right. Oh, there it is. I didn't spell it right. But we got Ozempic. It is allowed. And so is Wegovy. And they're green. So in competition, all like that. So one of the things to be aware of with this is just because something is over here, like you see peptides, and well, why wouldn't you assume that semaglutide was banned since they banned BPC 157? TB 500 is also on the list somewhere. It fits under the peptide hormones. So it's one of these things of it has to be specific. If it's on the list of banned substances, you can't take it. If it's not, you still can't take it. Sorry. It has to be explicitly approved. So you need to search and get these green boxes. So next thing is, so you got this, and you're like, okay, I'm okay with that, but I'm not okay with the insulin. What the hell? What do I do? Well, let's keep going, because this gets crazy. So you're an athlete, and you want to do a coke bump off your girlfriend's butt. There's cocaine. What the hell? So as long as I do my coke bump out of season, we're good to go. But I can't do it during competition. So, you go to the Olympics, no coke. But outside the Olympics, say you do Summer Olympics, you're a sprinter or something, during the winter, coke away, baby. All right, this is very stressful. Want a Scooby snack. So what is it? Cannabis. Did I spell it right? Yes, I did. Spelling's not my first. Same thing. It's okay. Out of competition, you're stressed. We get it. You can go ahead and hit the Scooby snacks, but better not do it during competition, which, depending upon what you're competing in, might not be a great idea. So this is really weird. And from a CrossFit standpoint, in my opinion, these ought to be banned all the time. And there is some stuff, if you go into the website, they talk about narcotics and all like that and dealing with drug addiction and, oh, it's this bad. But somebody who's taking it outside of competition, they're okay with you competing. It should be banned in both conditions. Sorry, you can't do that. But here's the thing. CrossFit doesn't really fit with this because, and I get it, the games are garbage. I wish the games would go away. It ought to be redone, and I'll do a video about that. But CrossFit itself is about fixing these vexing problems, as Greg Glassman put it, chronic disease. And you have an issue, TRT, or hormone replacement therapy. So you have guys who, TRT gets abused massively. I could go on for hours about it. You have Coach Hiller, who is a gentleman in his 30s, taking copious quantities of exogenous testosterone. There's no reason for somebody his age and in his condition to be doing that. His natural testosterone levels probably were in the 500s or so, which is absolutely normal. Put you right in the center of the reference range. You don't need 800 testosterone in order to build up a 500-pound or better deadlift. I know this. But for, say, a dude who's in his 60s, maybe he's gotten to a point where stuff's not working so good, and so the doctor puts him on TRT. Or the ladies, you eventually hit menopause, and their hormones crash. They go on hormone replacement therapy also. Well, CrossFit, by these rules, isn't allowed. You're not allowed to compete now. You're banned. And it's nuts. Well, there is a way around this. So you come in here and you have this thing called a therapeutic use exemption that you go and get. And what this is you'll go to your doctor and he'll fill out a bunch of paperwork explaining to the board that here's your condition. This is why this is the only solution to your condition. Which, like in Coach Hiller's case, they'd be like, haha, go away. But for, say, an older woman in her 60s who has real tests that show that really and truly her hormones have crashed, she'd probably be eligible for a therapeutic use exemption. I, with my torn up meniscus using BPC 157, for all sorts of reasons, would not be eligible for a twos, whatever. I don't know how you're supposed to say that. But you can't apply for this. Somebody who has type 2 diabetes, the doctor just has to fill out the stuff and it goes through the process. You're not guaranteed to get it, but that is how you do it. And it only really and truly is going to be necessary if you want to be a competitive CrossFitter and you plan to go beyond the open. Because here's the thing. The open is really just your gym and your community. And so how do you deal with it? Well, you talk to your coach and let them know, hey, look, one, they may already know, or you just tell them. In my case, I'm a huge proponent of BPC 157. And if I ever use TB500, and if it works as good as BPC 157, believe me, I will sing its praises as well. But you'd be upfront. Hey, look, I'm using this stuff. And so the gym knows, okay, this dude's doing this stuff. Because in the case of CrossFit, you have people who they stop doing things because, hey, I hurt. So using therapeutics to help you fix yourself so you can keep going as long as possible and making your life better is, in my opinion, really important to do in order to solve these problems. Becoming sedentary is not the answer. And what USADA does, and I understand why USADA exists and what they're trying to do, it's just I think that it doesn't work well for the general population and addressing the problems that we have today. So, so going back to the beginning of this, PEDs and your natty or not, the fun piece is that you probably don't really know everything. As a matter of fact, I missed one. See, I really don't script these very well. Someday I'll be a good YouTuber and actually get good scripting. But Zyrtec D. Oh, come on. Yeah, close enough. Cold medication. You can't take freaking cold medication during competition. So you get the sniffles at a competition, screwed. Hey, you don't need to breathe. And it's just stuff that you would never think. Hey, which for people who do want to be competitive CrossFitters, this is stuff you need to get onto Global DRO and look and see the medications you're taking, whether or not they're banned or not, whether you're allowed to take them and when you're allowed to take them. And the whole thing, you'll hear these athletes go like, oh, well, my pre-workout must have been spiked. That answer doesn't work. The organizations are like, yeah, screw you, you cheated. You can't do that. But again, I'm not really, for my use case of CrossFit is not competition. It is so that I am healthy and I am able to focus for a long time, to write code, play with my dogs that I don't know if the mics are picking up. They're outside having a good time. It's for that stuff. It's not so that I can go to some stupid games and do stupid workouts that make no freaking sense, or swim through a lake and cause all sorts of headaches for people. Anyway, that's my thing. I meant this to be kind of funny because seriously, you get onto this Global DRO and the stuff that's allowed and not allowed, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. Hope you enjoyed it. Try to build this channel. If you did, could you give me a like and a subscribe? I'd really appreciate it. And until next time, you have a good one.